I'm a big fan of the Witcher games. I'm loving the whole Witcher thing, the fact that there's a new TV series. I'm all on board for the Witcher hype train. I was not happy that they released the Witcher series at Christmas. In fact, I was deeply offended that they would do that. But I said nothing because I didn't want to ruin anything for Witcher fans and for fans of Christmas. I didn't want to be Scrooge McDuck or the Grinch, okay? But Christmas has passed and I have to say something. I have to put my foot down and say it was totally out of line releasing The Witcher at Christmas, okay? I'm gonna say it. I'm calling them out on this because Geralt of Rivia was waging a one Witcher war on Christmas. The Witcher games definitely reuse a lot of inspirations, a lot of material from other sources. I believe the same is true of the books. Some would even accuse the author of having plagiarized several well-known stories, and I'm not going to go into that, although I will say there probably is no story that comes out that is not reusing inspirations from somewhere. There are very few, if any, new ideas, and you could probably point to a lot of your favourite TV series or books or games that you think are original, and someone could probably find a way in which they were using inspirations from sources you didn't expect. But it's true to say The Witcher really goes all in using a lot of inspirations, a lot of material from other authors and indeed from real life mythology. I say real life mythology, but you know what I mean. Mythology that exists in our universe. And for the record, I for one have absolutely no problem with the way it was done in The Witcher. I've read a lot of books that obviously were inspired or even, basically used entire mythology set up by Tolkien, and I see no problem with that, especially since Tolkien almost certainly took inspirations from a lot of other sources as well. This is just how it goes. I've no problem with this. But there is one inspiration I do want to focus on, and that is the Wild Hunt. Some of you may not be aware that the Wild Hunt is actually taken from something in the European historical folklore. This is something that happened especially in the sort of Germanic Scandinavian countries, I believe. I'm not an expert on this, by the way, so this is just sort of, my understanding. But there was a Wild Hunt. And to prove what an absolute expert I am on the subject, I'm going to go from my extensive research of Wikipedia. And it says here, wild hunts typically involve a ghostly or supernatural group of hunters passing in wild pursuit. The hunters may be elves or fairies or the dead. Sound familiar? Well, it should, obviously. The Wild Hunt in the Witcher world does involve a sort of spectral, supernatural group of hunters riding through the skies in wild pursuit of something. The fact that they also turn out to be elves. I do hope that was not a spoiler. I'm going to put a spoiler warning at the front of this video, so, if you've got this far, pay attention, okay? So yeah, so they turn out to be elves. So there's quite a few similarities. For example, they both come from the North Pole area. They both terrify people who see them. And there's a few other similarities. But what you might not realise is the leader of this wild hunt is supposedly none other than Odin, or Wodan as he's sometimes known. Yes, Old One Eye is the leader of the Wild Hunt. So I want you to think about that for a second. The leader of the Wild Hunt is Odin. Not Eredin, Odin. Yeah? Eredin, Odin. You see another similarity here? But here's where things get a little interesting. You see, there is a connection between the Wild Hunt and a pagan festival known as Yule. And if that festival sounds familiar, it's probably because you've received a Christmas card with the words Yuletide greetings on it. Either that or you live in one of the countries where they don't actually celebrate something called Christmas, but rather still celebrate something called Yule, spelt a little differently but pronounced almost identically. And of course that is the festival we celebrate here in Norway. Now obviously once Christianity came to Europe, Yule began to lose quite a lot of its pagan roots and became very Christianized. However, it didn't lose all of its pagan roots. We still do things like the Yule log or the Christmas ham, which is a tradition from the pagan festival. There are plenty of other pagan trappings you can probably imagine, things like mistletoe. So Yule became Christmas, lost a lot of its pagan trappings, but kept quite a few. But here is the funny thing. It kept the wild hunt. Sort of. You see, one of the many titles that Odin possesses, for example, he is the All-Father, one of the titles he possesses is Yule Father, the father of Yule. Odin is the OG Father Christmas. Mind blown, right? But if you think about it, it explains why Father Christmas knows if you've been naughty or nice. Odin gave up one of his eyes for wisdom, and he also has those ravens, and he can see and hear everything they see and hear. He's got spies everywhere. But if Odin is the leader of the wild hunt, and he is Father Yule, Father Christmas, then you know what this means for Eredin, right? Have you seen it yet? Yeah, that's right. Geralt of Rivia killed Santa. And you helped him.